Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Murders at Karlov Manor. Without further ado, let's get into the pack 1, pick 1, which is a very good pack. We have Perimeter Enforcer, which is great in red-white aggro or blue-white detectives, flying and lifelink being really good ways to win a race, Detective Satchel for multiple Thopters, and clues off of one card. It's pretty huge. That's the most restrictive of everything in the pack, though, since it is specifically for a blue-red deck. Pretty splashable if you're green and one of those two colors, though. There's Shock for really efficient removal. There's Inside Source for 2 bodies off 1 card. Eavesdropper for a 2-for-1 thanks to the clue. I really like starting in white. It's been a long time since I've actually gotten to play blue-white detectives or white-red aggro. Some of my favorite decks in the format because I like the brain dead, just play creatures and attack kind of decks. So I am going to start in white again and hope eventually white is open again in one of these draft pods. I guess I have done a lot of white in Alchemy, but haven't managed to do it recently in just the main set. It's been a lot of green splashy. So we'll start with Perimeter Enforcer, followed up with a Makeshift Binding. It's a pretty great start. We could also just go green-white for now, with a Killer Among Us being one of the best green cards in the set, one of the best cards in the set, period. Getting you a 4/4 and 2/1/1s worth of stats is quite impressive. Probably supposed to take it over Makeshift Binding here, maybe. I mean, if we didn't have Perimeter Enforcer, then absolutely. If this was pack 1, pick 1. I guess Perimeter Enforcer does lean it a little farther towards white than it would be otherwise. You know what? I'm just going to force white as long as I can. There's Private Eye. See, it was correct all along. We're obviously blue-white detectives. It's the big signpost uncommon. It's perfect. It's just great. Now we can take Sanitation Automaton, which is a solid 2/1 for any deck. On the job, can be good in blue-white detectives, but it is much better in red-white, where you have more ways to get tokens. Eliminate the Impossible is an okay combat trick, but I want to make sure I've got plenty of filler 2-drops for anything even moderately aggressive. Crime Stopper is an okay detective. Vigilante is a solid finisher. Can easily get counters onto your board. Your 2 powerless creatures, you got plenty of those in these kind of decks. Unfortunately, that one's not a detective, so it's not the biggest synergy ever, but the 3-drop slot gets really cluttered with all of your face downs and projector inspectors and just cards that are better than Crime Stopper Sprite, so I do think I'd still rather take the Vigilante. Pick 6, Cold Case Cracker, very solid in blue-white detectives. Everything else that's decent in the pack is in green. But I'm tired of green multicolor. I'm going detectives. We're taking... I don't think I can take Griffknot Tracker over a Topiary Panther or a Glint Weaver. Those are strong enough green cards. I think we have to take them. Especially when we do have a Cold Case Cracker. It's just way better than Griffknot Tracker. Go for the Panther, because if we do end up in green, it is quite likely to be splashing around. But I'm a little sad. I kind of feel like it's not possible to justify not taking green card out of that pack. The green cards are just miles ahead in that one. At least when we took the Makeshift Binding over the Killer Among Us, those were pretty close. Yeah, Flourishing Bloomkin is leagues ahead of Defenestrated Phantom and Agency Outfitter and Felonious Rage and Goblin Mask Maker. Even Fanatical Strength is better than most of these. So, Bloomkin it is out of that one. A Reasonable Doubt is perfectly reasonable. And put these back in the main deck, because that Bloomkin was late enough that we have to heavily consider the green, despite me saying I was just going to force white. Investigators is a solid top-end card. Just have 1 6-drop in there. It's a great little bounce spell. Attached to a decently sized body. Okay, Unauthorized Exit's actually pretty solid for anything blue. Pick 11, Topiary Panther. This one is actually really close. Even if we were in blue-green, it might be close there. So I'm going to take the Unauthorized Exit. It is solid interaction, and I would rather play blue-white than green again. For pack 2, pick number 1. Case of the Gateway Express, we're going to have to put in some work to getting a wide board state, but this is really good at clearing out your opponent's 2 or 3 drops. Kill their 2 toughness creature and then try to buff your whole board later. Really solid case. Act 2, pick 2. Forensic Researcher is a fine detective that happens to play very well if we end up in blue-green. That is the one archetype that really likes this card. Blue-white detectives, it's pretty filler actually, but you know, so is Investigator, so is Consultant. Consultant's probably the least filler just because it is a 2-mana creature. And you do want plenty of 2-mana creatures. Yeah, maybe the 2-mana creature. I will still take the Forensic Researcher though, because it works great with our green spells that we have. Pick 3, Novice Inspector. Best common in the set, baby. Let's go! Pick number 4. Dramatic Accusation's quite weak, especially in blue-white, where white gives you access to removal spells like Makeshift Binding and Case of the Gateway Express, so no accusation here. We take another Panther on that speculation. That is the only card, really. I mean, there's the hybrid white-black flyer, but that is very small for all the mana you put into it. Pick 5, another Automaton, or a Glintweaver towards all this green stuff. Glintweaver is much better than Automaton, so I'll keep that speculation alive. Pick number 6 now. There's Nervous Gardener. For more incredible fixing, we'll have Double Panther and Nervous Gardener towards green. I mean, I feel like I am supposed to be green in this pod as much as I want to force otherwise. We'll play another green 3 or 4 color goop deck. Actually looking more green-white than green-blue right now. But Public Thoroughfare I think is going to fit in this better than anything else we see in this pack. Best card's Person of Interest. That's surprising. Surprisingly late. You know, Hedge Whisperer can work in here when you have multiple like Panthers to get in your grave really early. Not going to be great. Nor is Rope, but if we are green, they are fine playables. Pick number 8, Fanatical Strength, Hazda Vigilante, Crowd Control Warden for the flip. That's pretty much it. Vigilante, Strength, or Warden. Get a flipper here. No matter what's going on with our mana, we can always play a 3-mana 2/2 off that. Pick 9, another flipper, the Museum Night Watch. And this one's really good when you trade it off. Replaces itself in the trade. Pick 10 is nothing. Actually, hold down the Alt key. Yep, I need more Basilica Stalkers because I basically never play black in this set. Alright, well, No More Lies is the closest to our deck, but it is pretty hard to cast for 3 color. Rare Draft and Uncommon. For Vault Progress, get my wild cards a little bit faster. And we're on to pack 3. What have we opened? I guess a Tunnel Tipster? It's a pretty weak pack. Push and Pull is one of the strongest cards, but we're not in red or black where we can cast Pull. So it's just Push. Yeah, I think it's probably just Tunnel Tipster for mana ramp. Works fine with the Crowd Control Warden. There's not really anything else in here. Very weak pack. Okay, this pack is much stronger, but it's also red cards that are good out of it. Inzrag the Quake Mole, Detective Satchel. Both difficult here, although Vengeful Creeper's super solid out of just green, which is pretty easy. We've got the fixing to try to go there and splash in like an Ainsrag or something, but go for that consistency on Vengeful Creeper. Pretty big fan of that. Now there's a Makeshift Binding for more removal. There's an Eavesdropper for the 2-for-1 value play. There's a Hard-Hitting Question for cheap removal. This is a really good pack. Even Deduce would work fine in here. Looking at our removal suite with just one Makeshift Binding and then some bounces and counters, I'm pretty happy to take another Makeshift Binding here. Pick for... I guess Crocodile, just keep the disguise flippers going. Unraveler is like really cool, but it's basically just a 7 mana 6/6 flyer. By the time you play it, you're not going to have that many spells in hand or that much evidence engraved to get more than one free spell out of it anyway. So I'll just grab the Crocodile. Make our tipster better. And that's how we're ending the game, is just flipping stuff. Pick 5, Eavesdropper for the 2 for 1. 3/3 that gives us a clue to draw us a card, so we can trade it off very freely and end up ahead in value. Okay. Well, this was the place to be, because this is pick 6 Vanifar. So, pick 6 Vanifar it is. Even Glintweaver and Out Cold would both be really nice cards here too, but Vanifar is just insane. Single-handedly turns any lands you're drawing into 2/2 so that you never run out of creatures to play. And then just keeps putting counters on all of them, which is nuts. Repulsive Mutation can just end the game. If you've got a bunch of mana up, your opponent tries to cast anything, you're just like, okay, my smallest creature can now kill you in like one swing. And also your spell is countered. So in the right position, super, super high ceiling, but you gotta survive to that position. Eavesdropper's more consistently good, but I'll still take Mutation. I think the card is quite strong. I'll take a Defenestrated Phantom, which might be okay now that we care more about all the morphs to go with Tipster, but still think that's going to be one of the first cuts. Pick 9, basically nothing. Let's rare draft this Assassin's Trophy. For constructed formats. Pick 10. All this 3 mana stuff, probably not playing the Sprite. I don't think I'm playing No More Lies either, but the option is decent. Same as Sudden Setback. Got a lot of counterspell options here. An Analyst is like a basically definite no in this deck, as is they went this way, so we're just going to be a Bant mush pile. Not the bombiest mush pile ever. That's one of the best reasons to be in a green multicolored blob, is to be able to just scoop up all the rares and go crazy. Here we really just got a Vanifar, but green was definitely one of the most open colors in this draft pod, so I kind of feel like that was the direction we were supposed to hop on. So we're going to make some kind of Bant build here with a lot of face downs, it looks like. Okay, we'll cut the Phantom, and with all these face downs to flip up as our finishers, we drop the Investigators. Vigilante is pretty good with disguise cards, we'll keep that in. But let's rip those 2 out of here. Just 20 creatures, 10 non-creatures. We still want to cut like 3 to 5 more creatures. It's probably about a 15 creature deck. 15 to 17 is like your average aggro deck. I don't think we're going to be that aggressive. So we drop down to 15. So cut 5 creatures, 2 non-creatures. I don't know. Most of my least favorite cards here are the non-creatures though. Like No More Lies in a 3-color deck is going to be really hard to cast. Rope's just not very exciting, and Setback costs a lot of mana. I'm going to cut these 4, and then I'll cut like 3 creatures. Not going to have a super duper wide board, so we can cut Warden. There's a lot of 3 mana stuff, so I kind of want to cut 1 more of these. Although Automaton's looking pretty filler for this deck. We've got some non-creature spells we can hold up on turn 2 as well that look decent. Yeah, let's cut those, and then I think, again, we want to find the weakest of the 3 mana plays. How many detectives did we end up with for the Private Eye? Still got like 8 detectives. I think Private Eye still looks good. I don't really want to ditch Forensic Researcher. We have 6 drops. We've got a bunch of big flips as well. But I really like all the other flips. I don't know, maybe we can just ditch this Hedge Whisper. Like, we're decent at getting evidence in our grave with Double Panther and some disguise cards that we play as 2/2s and then die as big evidence, but I don't love just turning lands into 5/5s. Just hasn't been a super strong ability in any of the sets I've tried to play this kind of card in. The land gets bounced once it's a creature. I guess that's not going to happen because the bounce spells in this format are bouncing on land, but if your land gets like makeshift binding, or murdered or something, that could be really bad for you if you try to do this anytime early. This is basically a super late game play. Yeah, I'm just going to ditch the Edge Whisperer here and call it a deck there. All right, here's a look at our final deck list for today. We're another multicolored green goop mess. We are a 3-color deck today. Full on 3 colors, not really splashing that much. Green, blue, and white. So basically drafted blue-white detectives, but it wasn't deep enough in terms of how open it was, and green was the most open color, so we just shoved a bunch of green fixing and some green spells in the center. So blue-white detectives with some green goop in the middle here. We've got the really powerful Vanifar to reward us for being in green. Absolutely a bomb that can take over games single-handedly. We've also got some really big green flippers like Crocodile and Vengeful Creeper with ways to get mana to flip them early, like Forensic Researcher and Tunnel Tipster and Flourishing Bloomkin. So that's the big green stuff we're getting. And of course, as I said before, just decent blue-white detective-y stuff. Novice Inspector into Perimeter Enforcer, into Private Eye. Museum Nightwatch even trades into being a detective. And great blue-white interaction with Makeshift Binding, the bounce spell of Unauthorized Exit, the counter of Reasonable Doubt, and the other cheap removal of Case of the Gateway Express. So that is the goopy pile we'll be playing today. We'll see how it plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1. No green source, but plenty of interaction to buy us time. I mean, we've got no green source and also just no threats at all for the early game, but very good hand in terms of the reactions it can do. Bounce, remove, surveil while we're bouncing to set up our draws. Playing against red-white, I don't think I'm going to unauthorized exit their 2-drop, even if they played one there, just because if they play an inside source or just anything like that that makes a 2-2 token or a 1-1 token, we can permanently kill something with unauthorized exit while we surveil. And that is a face down, which is really annoying here because it costs a ton of mana to interact with that. Hopefully it's just like a dog walker, they flip it up, I kill a dog and surveil this turn. And we won't know what it is yet. And then Agris Cause, Spirit of Justice is the play. Well, let's just exile that with Makeshift Binding. And probably suspect one of their own creatures to give it menace. They have chosen not to. Alright. So let's exile the Bomb Mythic. And go back to 20. We're only 2 mana away from dropping this Glint Weaver, which is pretty cool. It's definitely weaker when it's the only creature on your board, then you get less opportunities to split those counters around if you need to. But still, a 6/6 reach gain 3 is perfectly solid. There's a Seasoned Consultant. If they're attacking with 3 creatures, that thing's going to trigger. It's going to get extra damage in. So I kind of want to hold up unauthorized exit in case this is a dog walker to flip and try to trigger Consultant. Although if it is a dog walker, it's a 3/1, a 1/3, and 2 1/1s. I can only kill 1/1 with unauthorized exit anyway, so I can't stop Consultant regardless. So I guess I can Cold Case Cracker plus Inspector for the turn. Although, if I play Inspector now, I can't crack the clue the turn I play it anyway. So I guess I'll just hold up exit. Because then if I don't hit the land for Glintweaver next turn, I already have to... play other spells anyway, so I might as well just like play the Inspector, crack the clue, go from there. Okay, this is going to be a decent unauthorized exit. Well, maybe not. I was going to say maybe I should have bounced my own Cold Case Cracker, just kind of counter the Makeshift Binding. But then I was thinking maybe I bounced the Makeshift Binding to kill a dog and then they recast it, but Yeah, they recast it. That's the problem right there. So if I'm just going to bounce the makeshift binding, I guess I'm taxing all of their mana for the turn, which is something big, at least. This is 8 damage on board. Yeah, I don't know if this is better than having just bounced my own Cold Case Cracker, but I think I will end up just killing a dog with this. And I will kill a dog in the way that makes them also recast binding. Right, there's the 7th land. So it would have been another turn before we played the Cracker anyway. I just recast the Glint Weaver. Oh my god. Well, that just goes worse for us, because now if I play Glint Weaver, they're just binding that. Oh, yeah, this is pretty phenomenal stuff. They didn't get to curve out early, but the spells they're hitting now are just all very good. Yeah, none of this is going to be nearly enough here when they can now just kill the Glint Weaver. I probably should have exiled Consultant. I can trade with the Dog Walker. Excuse me, is that 2 Agroscos? 2 of the Boros Mythic were opened up in their draft pod, and both of them were given to them. So I guess we just lose before the game even started, really. Yeah, when we're super dead here, Agris just gets to suspect this so that I can't block with anybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Guess I could have gained Glint Weaver life, but then they just exile Glint Weaver with Makeshift Binding. Yeah, that was just a tremendously busted build of the strongest archetype in the format. They had a slower start, which gave us hope, but then every spell they played was premium. Here we are for game 2 on the draw, unfortunately. Opponent takes Mulligan into Lush Portico, turn 1, so some fixing right off the bat. Well, here's our turn 1 Novice Inspector to get going. Doorkeeper Thrall. That is pretty annoying for our deck. I'm glad we got one Enter the Battlefield effect out of the way, at least first. But that does stop their abilities as well, so they can't have good Enter the Battlefield effects. Oops, should have cracked the clue. I didn't realize they were just immediately spam passing the turn that quickly. Perks of playing digital Magic. This is natural 4-color now? These are both detectives. Sure, let's do it. Let's roll. They're gonna jump with the Thrall because they have an Enter the Battlefield effect in their hand. I could see it. Yep. Oh, because we've got a board wipe? Well, we do get a clue for this, and I have a counter. I don't want to suspect anybody, though. Well, things are looking pretty good over here now. And they're just going to concede. All right, well, that was weird. I don't know what any of that was about, but we are 1-1 heading into game 3. Here we are for game number 4 on the draw. Playing against a blue-red deck. Case the Filch Falcon rolling. We just got to set up our Thoroughfare early. So we're just hanging out. I should have played my island instead of my forest first. We do have more green spells than anything else in the deck, but more blue spells in the opening hand. Not that it really matters here, because I don't think I can afford to not play Thoroughfare turn 2. I don't think I can hold up Reasonable Doubt on this turn 2. And probably not for quite some time. So blue, red, green. Projector Inspector's the play. Draw a card, discard a card. Repulsive Mutation. Well, that is a very late game play, and we're still stuck on 3 mana here. I can hold up a counter. I can drop a 2/2, or I can just exile a Projector Inspector. I really don't love this start. I need 2 more lands to even flip this thing. I guess I can hold it off, though, still, so let's just drop it. Red Herring. Send both in. I am 2 mana away from flipping this. Probably need to stop some damage. If I can. Oh, this might be the +3/+3 trample. Oh, the Burden of Proof. Make it a 5/4. It's also quite bad. Well, now we binding. Pass turn. Face down from our opponent. We're down to 18 from Red Herring. There's land 4. It's a start. So I can drop a Cold Case Cracker. I can binding a Red Herring, and then they can crack it in response. Or I can play a Private Eye. That's it. Well, if I can only do one thing per turn and we have no good binding targets, then we play the more expensive creature. It also draws us a card if they kill it. If they do not kill it, they bounce it with Unauthorized Exit. And Surveil 1. Undercover Crocodile is the face down, so we take 7, but we have our makeshift binding target now. Come on, land! Dang. Land would have rocked. We could have gotten rid of Crocodile, held up the counterspell. Also, we just need mana pretty badly here to be able to start doing 2 spells per 1 turn to catch up. Oh, is this solved? What is solved? That is bad. They get to turn a clue into a 4/4 flyer. We have to try to find more removal. I guess our bounce spell works as well for killing the 4/4 flying clue. Yeah, we're probably just a little too low on mana to come back here. That's the 5th mana. I can do 2 spells this turn now. We're at 7. I can Private Eye plus Perimeter Enforcer. 3/3 blocks the Red Herring, Enforcer chumps the flyer. Or I can just play a 3/3 and hold up a Reasonable Doubt. That way I can block the Red Herring on the ground and counter something that would just straight kill me. I feel like neither of these is super likely to win, but I guess I'll just hold up the counter here. They're gonna crack the herring? Oh, probably just the clue. Crack the herring? Oh yeah, because Private Eye just kills it. Never mind. Makes a lot of sense. Alright, on board. All we gotta do is deal with this flyer now. They not attacking? They're going to combat right now. I'd be very surprised to not see an attack. Yeah, 20 life here. I mean, they must be playing around some kind of instant that I don't have. Alright, well, they got there eventually. There's the attack. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking about playing around there. Maybe it's something weird in their hand that can care about their untapped stuff or something. Rebel Belt Braggart. Well, we gotta counter it. Hazda Vigilante is the draw. So all I can do is Perimeter Enforcer for the chump now. Cold Case Cracker, try to get the trade if they have no interaction. Feels like all I've really got. Just block the 4/4 and pray. Yep. I have no choice here at 3 life. They have the thing, or they have to clue towards it? They do not have the thing. So I guess they were probably just thinking about cluing into it. Or just going for the 4-drop. Yeah, with a really good 4-drop in hand, they have to consider if they need to dig for a trick or just drop the 4-drop. They went for the 4-drop, which is pretty good. So now I can Perimeter Enforcer and case the person of interest away. We got the 3/3 up against the 2/2. Try to Vigilante some counters on the Enforcer to get some life. The Bother. Yeah, 3/1/1 Flyers is pretty bad. I guess I could Mutation without countering something to put 3 +1/+1 counters on Enforcer at instant speed if they try to kill it on blocks. I could also just try to hold Enforcer off to block with it, but then removal's really bad for me. I guess maybe Researcher to start stunning things is fine. I think I'm just gonna try to juice up the lifelink as much as possible, and we have to hold off on blocks for a turn. Maybe we can get the case to flip as well. Not to flip, but to get solved for even more lifelink. That is beef. And I have no more interaction left. Okay, I guess I can double block that. Get a block and a mutation to gain 1,000,000 off this Enforcer. It's probably the plan, right? Just make a super big lifelinking Enforcer and block this turn, and then just start trying to make it unblockable with Private Eye each turn. It's just all in on Repulsive Mutation. So Mutation, we have 6 mana, so we can do X = 4. Make Enforcer a 7/7 permanently. We're gonna gain 7 a turn. Seems huge. Automaton. Think we allow it? I don't think that matters enough to counter. Like, worst case scenario, they don't cast anything else. And then I just let them resolve an Automaton, but I still gain my 7. I can still cast Mutation without countering something. Crack a clue. Okay, so probably not casting anything. Well, they did hit a land here. Both of those cards are non-lands because they have not played every land for turn. Alright, we'll counter whatever this is. Boop it. Gain 7 a turn. Draw a card. Unblockable Enforcer it up. Forensic Researcher could also just untap Enforcer, which is pretty exciting. I think I'll Crocodile first, though. I wish I had enough mana to do both, because that'd be super sweet. But I'm still scared at 11. Especially with, like, Braggart could be Menace. Alright, concession from our opponent. Gigantic Perimeter Enforcer lifelink can swing what seems to be an unwinnable game. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was scary stuff. We got stuck on land for a long time, but just gigantic lifelink can really get there. That's the biggest Perimeter Enforcer I think I've ever had. Lifelink is a hell of a drug. We are now 3-1? 2-1 or 3-1 here. Let's see. Boldare and Thrillseeker. We're only 2-1. It's just been some longer games. 2-1 heading into game number 4. Here we are now for game 4. We are 2-1 on the draw. We get a Tipster to ramp up into a Vigilante to buff the Tipster, which is kind of adorable. We drew into an Eavesdropper, which makes the curve even better. Tipster, Eavesdropper, Vigilante. If they play anything too scary, we've got a Makeshift Binding. So far, it is kind of scary, but they're all small enough to not really want to Binding this early. Scapegoat into a Menacing Bystander, shoving the suspect thing onto it. Now a Seasoned Consultant with enough creatures to attack as a 3-3. But that would mean they have to attack hard enough to chump attack something into Eavesdropper. So I'll take a chunk of damage here, but maybe kill one of the creatures without losing one of my own. Makeshift Binding is not good. Tipster have a single 4/4 up. Weak to removal. Alternatively, we Binding the Consultant and it's only 3 damage on their board. And I can do that and crack a Clue. And then I can just play Hardcast Vigilante next turn, even if I trade in a Scapegoat. They play bigger creatures. We have a Vigilante and a Panther. The problem is if they play a bomb that's like Flying Haste or something like that, like an Aurelia. I'm going to pray they don't have double Binding here. I'm going to try to keep my own for something with flying. Well, I mean, we were really doomed if I didn't have the Binding for Agris, but I think stopping the Vigilante from blocking here means we're still doomed. Because what I chump Consultant, take 3. I'll be at 2 life next turn. I guess we trade into Consultant, because Tipster's going to turn into a 3-3 from this Vigilante attack. That's something. I guess I can draw the card and still spend 3 on Binding. Okay, yeah, Agris was terrible for us. It's just a bomb creature that also kind of functions as removal, because it stops Vigilante from blocking. So it was like both of the things that could have been bad for us, where it gets really close to lethal by removing our creature, but also it's something we need to kill with Binding to not die. Alright, here we are, trading into Consultant, fingers crossed. Yes, we are. I have no blockers, and they have 4 attackers, 2 of which are Menace, and all we find is a land. Don't even have double green for Panther without Tipster. Well, you got me. Really good aggressive curve. I think that is genuinely as good as we could have played it out, because the Binding anywhere else would have just been worse. Just don't think there's much we could do against that. We are 2-2 now, heading into game 5. Alright, here we are for game 5. It's the first time we've seen our Vannifar. We'll see if we can draw into the blue source for her off of Novice Inspector's Investigating. Ooh, we are also on the play for the first time in a while. Nice. There's a Snarling Gorehound turn 1 from our opponent, which we cannot do any blocking against. Okay, we do find land number 3. Can't block the Menace anyway, might as well hit for 1. So land number 3 is not an island, so we still need specifically a blue source. Land number 4 is also not an island. Let's face down the Bloomkin. Yeah, Creeper's more mana to flip up, so face down the cheaper one. This one also ramps into playing more than one spell on future turns. Gives us all the mana we need to flip the Creeper as well. Turn 3, Inside Source. Opponent's board state is quickly expanding, and they get to surveil the top card of their library, make sure it's something they actually want, and it is. Ooh, Perimeter Enforcer's not bad at all. I mean, I guess it's not very good, because we don't have any way to buff it. It doesn't help us dig at all towards the blue. I guess it's probably a little better to just play a beefy blocker for now. We're kind of on the blue source waiting room, the island waiting room over here. Crossing our fingers. One mana away from flipping Flourishing Bloomkin, and after flipping Flourishing Bloomkin, I'll have all the mana I need to flip the Vine Creeper as well. Well, here we are. I guess we can pull out like every green source from the deck. Ooh, Flyer. Yeah, that's gonna be a quick clock. Down to 12, 3 more turns and we're dead to that. Let's dig for some lands. Pull some forests out of there. Well, I'm doing everything in my power here. Thin the deck out towards some islands. Try to outrace the Moroi, I guess. I can't play Perimeter Enforcer and flip the Creeper in the same turn here. Guess is fine. Attack both and they just don't block. It's pretty bad for me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Guess it's still not lethal though. I'll have 2 blockers up. Yeah, I mean, we don't know if we're going to hit an island or not. We can't 100% rely on that. Let's work our way towards maybe racing. Okay. I think this is fine even if I don't flip the Creeper. Really just need to flip it if they try to kill it. That's not fine. It's in fact very bad. Well, that was going to get us anywhere pretty badly. Oh. Best Pioneer card from the set. Constructed All-Star Vein Ripper says hello. And a game that was already looking very bad is now looking worse. Yeah, oh my god, it's our creatures and their creatures. There's the blue source. It is literally 1 turn too late to counter the Vein Ripper, so we're just dead. 10 damage in the sky. No way to make flyers. That's it. Alright, brutal game there. Super rough mana. And Really powerful deck from our opponent, topping things off with that Vein Ripper. And that's going to seal the deal for us. 2 and 3 it is. Couple losses in a row in the end. Just get aggroed out, get bombed out. It certainly happens. I think this deck was certainly a bit weaker for sure. We're just kind of a green multicolored goop pile that has all the flaws of this kind of deck, where it can be slower, it can take time to set up with tap lands and mana fixing with Nervous Gardener and Topiary Panthers and stuff, without the big upside of having a ton of bombs to splash in. We just didn't see a bunch of excellent bombs in the draft pod. We could have went for some like uncommon level bombs, like a Detective Satchel could have been added to this deck if we played a little red to try to get there. Maybe that would improve the deck a bit, but I don't think we could have ended up with anything particularly stronger out of this draft pod. Unless maybe the play all along was to just completely force the blue-white detectives off of our Perimeter Enforcer into Private Eye start and just not even play with the green. Maybe that would have been a slightly better deck. I don't know. But pretty mediocre run today, a little below average at 2 and 3. So I'm going to get some bummer rewards here, just 250 gems and 2 packs from today's event. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons for their support, as well as you for watching. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.